Last question from me, which is for any newbies that are wanting to start out in deal sourcing, because we're getting a lot of people join the group now that are completely new, wanting to do it as a strategy, maybe even as a full-time job moving forward. What advice would you give them starting out? And I know that's quite a broad subject, but is there sort of like, say like 1 or 2 points that you'd say, just focus on this and then maybe you can work on the others as you progress?
I always think that when you get into a new job, you've got a boss or a manager that handholds you and shows you the ropes. And there's 2 or 3 ways you can do that. You can either pay someone to train you and educate you, who then doesn't manage you and look after you after that. That's one way of doing it. The second way is to partner with someone and say, look, can I work for you? I'm happy to work for free for a few weeks or a month. And, if anything works out, then great. Or there's probably another way of doing it as well. So maybe online courses and sort of learning that way. But I'd say I personally am a practical person. Theory is great, but you need to see with your own eyes how it's done, how this table is made, how this microphone is made. Show me how it's done, and then I'll be able to repeat it. And I think that's the main thing. You can choose the strategy, buy, refurbish, refinance, service accommodation, land deals, but until somebody's shown you kind of the pieces, how it all goes together. So how do you find an investor? How do you find a deal? How do you package it? How do you do your assessment? All of those things will be completely different company to company. They have obviously certain criteria for each type of deal, but until somebody sits down with you and shows you how it's done, whether that's an online platform or a physical person doing it, it's really going to be difficult, and you'll always have questions of how does that work? Because you haven't gone through it 2 or 3 or 4 times to be able to then confidently tell somebody else how it's done. So when you go into any business, you will get trained first, and the person training you will say, right, tell me how you're going to do it. And they say, well, first of all, you take this, you do this, and you go there. Say, right, okay, brilliant. Now teach somebody else how to do it.
Yeah, it's totally different.
So it's train the trainer. So those principles are in the corporate world, and it should be the same for deal sourcing. I should be able to teach you how to do it, and then you should be able to teach the next person how to do it. So it's kind of like this, this rippling effect. And I would honestly advise a newbie, obviously, to educate themselves with online stuff and get as much free content as they want. But you can try and do it on your own if you want to from scratch, and that's not a bad thing. You can partner with somebody else, so somebody's finding the investors while you're finding the deals, so that you're kind of helping each other. Or partner with a company or somebody who you think could be credible and say, look, do you want to go 50-50 on this, or do you want to help each other? And then you'll get more practical experience, and that's the main thing that's going to be key. Yes, you can do all the theory, you can read through books, you'll get all the compliance and things.
None of it makes sense when you get an agent shut you down, when you're checking through contracts and leases and all of that stuff. That's you can read about it, but it's only until you get an email or a phone call which says otherwise that you're really going through it.
And every day, even we're learning new things every day. So you'll get bigger deals, you'll get different types of deals and things that foreign investors that don't have guarantors. How do you deal with that? They don't have a salary in pounds. What do? Do you throw the deal away, or can you find a solution? So there's always these little small tricks and tips that you can learn through going through the process, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times.
I think that's quite, you touched on an amazing point there, to be honest with you. I think your network when you're starting out and the people that you're surrounded by, you don't realize how much they could help you potentially moving forward, because they've got pieces of knowledge which you may not know. They've got access to stuff which you may not have, and the vice versa might be true. It's just a case of piecing both of those 2 together. That's amazing, man.
The other thing as well is that I'm quite an inquisitive person. So working in Russia and in a role in procurement, people were selling to me every day, coming into me, presenting to me, and I'd literally have questions of, tell me about the product, where's it made from, what's the thickness, tell me the parameters, where who's your suppliers, tell me your best clients, all of those questions. In my mind, I'm like an interrogator. And I'm not saying that we want to work with investors that are interrogators as well, but deal sourcers should, if they're trying to learn, ask as many questions as they can to acquire that information and knowledge, and don't just suck it up. ask if you don't understand it. Ask why. Why does that happen? What if we're talking about guarantors, why do you need a guarantor? Could it be a UK based person? Is it a foreign person? Okay, all those questions which could or may not be relevant. There's no stupid question, and so you want people to be as open, honest, and be as inquisitive as they can.
Yeah, pretty much the take home from today, and it really just be honest, be inquisitive, and just keep grafting along, man.